Good morning. We're going to get started with our workshop today. If everyone can take their seats, please. Good morning. I would like to welcome you all to Workforce Wednesday. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Jasmine Harvey. I'm the Student Engagement Specialist here with Mississippi Public Broadcasting. A lot of you probably know me. I blow your emails up each month inviting you to come to these wonderful workshops that we have. I want to also thank our virtual and live stream audience who is also joining us today as well. We would love to know who you are and who's joining us on Workforce Wednesdays, specifically to our virtual audience in the chat. So if you could, let us know what business that you represent or school if we have any students that are on today. We're happy to see each and every one of your faces. And again, I say thank you for joining us for Workforce Wednesday. We would love, say that already. Okay. I want to give a quick overview of our workforce initiative. All right, in 2018, MPB received a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to create a workforce development initiative. Our initiative, Getting to Work Mississippi, focuses on sharing information for students and adults and providing the most relevant workforce and information and resources to Mississippians. We work with partners to assess challenges and opportunities and produce videos focused on career pathways and essential skills needed to be successful. MPB created videos highlighting key industry sectors and soft skills series with students. Workforce Wednesday was created in December of 2018, and the goals of gathering partners, networking, and collaborating to build a strong workforce. These meetings are hosted every third Wednesday of the month. Going forward, they will be hybrid, in person, and virtually. All the resources and registration for Workforce Wednesday are available on our website at education.mpbonline.org. And don't worry, for our virtual and live stream audience, that information will also be included in the chat. Now, let's get ready to introduce our wonderful guest speaker. Joining us today is Secretary Michael Watson. Secretary Watson is married to Lauren and dad to three beautiful girls, Gracie Pierce, Annie, and Cora Elizabeth. He is from Pascagoula, a graduate of Pascagoula High School, the University of Mississippi, and the University of Mississippi School of Law. His father was a pipe fitter and current minister, and his mother was a bank teller and executive assistant. He served 12 years as a strong conservative in the state Senate and now serving as the 36th Secretary of State. I would like to welcome to the podium and to our Workforce Wednesday today, our Secretary of State, Michael Watson.
Well, good morning. A bunch of backseat Baptists with us today. My dad, it's okay. My dad's a preacher, so I always sat on the back too because I didn't want to get in trouble in church, and every now and then he'd still call me down, so I appreciate you being on the back row. She mentioned the girls, and I was just reminded this weekend we had opening ceremonies, and I coach. When I'm home, I coach my girls, and both of them, my 4-year-old's playing wee ball, and my 12-year-old's playing softball, clearly. But my 4-year-old, we had our first game, and she was playing first base. The coaches figured out that she could catch. And so I was on the field coaching some of the team, and she the first ball was hit, and it was hit up the middle. The pitcher catches the ball, and I say, "All right, baby, run cover your bag." Well, I hadn't taught her that bag's the same as base. So she runs into the dugout to get her bat bag, following instructions to go and get her bag. So anyway, I don't know why I told you all that story, but it's fun to be a dad and fun time right now with them, 12, 9, and 4. So we have a great time, but want to get more in depth with you on workforce development, and I appreciate what you're doing. One of the things that I've learned, I was in the state senate for 12 years and now Secretary of State's office, the disconnection of state agencies as a whole. Too many times we see these silos where folks are saying, you know what, this is my area of expertise. I don't need your help. I'm just going to stay right here. You stay over there in your lane. So I love the idea of getting together to talk about workforce development as a whole, as a team, because the more we talk across agency lines, across the state as a whole, and work as a team together for a common purpose, the better we can do for Mississippi as a whole. So thank y'all for doing this, MPB. Thank y'all for hosting this. I was reading Across America Week was, I think, last week, Liz. By the way, Liz is with me today. Our comms director, Liz Johnson, does a fantastic job. And I was in a school. It was Obama Magnet School, downtown Jackson. and read a great book, had a fun time with them, and we got questions and answers afterwards. And one of the young men raised his hand, and he said, "How do you get a job?" And it hit me that sometimes we don't think about how workforce development actually starts at a really young age. And so we're going to talk through some things that we're doing at the Secretary of State's office, but I wanted to kind of launch into the idea with that kickoff. And it's really important, not just what we're doing at the Secretary of State's office, not what you're doing at your agencies, but how we need to kind of look at workforce development as a whole. And it doesn't just start in high school and then junior college and college. We should start this at a very early age. And it really kind of rocked me, the idea of how do you get a job? So it's our job to teach our young leaders that are coming up kind of what they need to know about the workforce. What does it look like? How do I even get there? Because some of them don't have that mentorship at home that we can offer as elected officials, as heads of agencies, as workforce development leaders. So it's our job to really start that kind of early. So overview, kind of what we're doing at the office, and I really enjoy question and answer. So when we get to that, look, feel free to ask whatever you want. But I did want to walk through some things at the office that we've found successful. One of the things that I really have enjoyed, when we came into office, we started thinking about what is our role at the Secretary of State's office. And many times when you think about new businesses, clearly they register with us. And so that's their interaction with the Secretary of State's office, but that was it. You know, once you register, we don't hear from you again until you file your annual report, if you're an LLC or a corporation. What is it that we can do to kind of connect better with our business sector and encourage them to walk them through the process to make sure that they understand there are resources out there other than just clicking and starting your LLC with our office? How can we help them grow? I think it's our job at the Secretary of State's office to make sure that we're there to help. I tell people this all the time, I work for you. And so what our job is to understand how can I better help serve Mississippi. And one of the roles that we have seen is through our connections with the business sector, what are the things that we can do to make them more prosperous, to grow their businesses, to create more jobs in Mississippi, to get out of the way every chance we can and let them do what they know to do best. So one of the things that we have done, we saw that, the connectivity there of starting their business, but then they kind of lost touch. So we have launched what we call our Welcome to Business webinar series. And that's for your new businesses that are out there. It's about a 45-minute online presentation. We do it with MDA and with the Small Workforce Development Center. And so basically when you register as a new business now, you can click on and register for our Welcome to Business webinar. And we walk through that webinar with MDA and again the Workforce Development Center on there. And basically from A to Z, what do you need to know as a new business owner? What are the things that you need to understand to connect with our office, to connect with MDA, to connect with Small Workforce Development Center that are going to help you? What are the resources out there that you can use to grow your business and again create more jobs, more opportunities for Mississippians? So I really appreciate that. It's the next one is March 28th, and I would encourage you, even if you've not started a new business, for those entities that work with new businesses, that work with workforce development, I would encourage you to sign up for one and just get on it and connect. One of the things that we have seen, again, I'll harp on this, you'll hear me talk about this all the time, but we never had the interconnectivity of MDA and Small Business Workforce Development and the Secretary of State's office. Now that we have that, if they hear a question from MDA that says, you know what, that may be in the Secretary of State's realm, I know exactly who to call. Here's the contact. And I think when we do that, when we connect with people, when we work with, hey, the question is, how do we help? What can we do to serve you better? By the way, I have a contact at the Secretary of State's office. Hey, I know who to call at MDA. I know who to call at the Small Workforce Development Center. The more contacts that we have, the more relationships that we have, the more we can help Mississippians. And I think that's the goal. But that's a twice-a-month deal. Again, a 45-minute introduction to Mississippi and doing business here. And I think that's a really important piece. The next one that we're doing that I want to talk about is we also saw, again, through the webinar, it's good to have that 45-minute conversation and introduce them and tell them about the resources that are there. But again, that's just a short introduction. What else can we do to kind of help them as they're walking through? So we have created an LLC welcome packet as well. So when you're starting a new business, many times, and matter of fact, I had an interview with a possible new employee today, and she was talking about her 13-year-old niece is launching a business. By the way, my 12-year-old's selling earrings now, so if y'all need earrings, we'll talk later. But she said, you know, one of the things that we're trying to teach her is the kind of the steps. And I know 13's early, I get it. but the steps of starting that LLC, and it hit me, that's one of the reasons that we've started this welcome packet. So just to kind of walk through you with it, here are the parts that are in the packet about my business. So it talks about a business snapshot, kind of how you start a business in Mississippi. What are the annual requirements? For instance, the LLC report that you have to file every year with the Secretary of State's office. So kind of a walkthrough introduction of what you need for business. The next is about my records, and that helps identify critical legal and accounting considerations as you start to walk through your business and grow it. What are the things I need to think about with accounting, with accounts payable, with legal considerations, how I'm going to set my business up. The next is life of a Mississippi business. And that kind of walks them through the steps necessary to keep your business in compliance. For instance, again, the annual report, what do I need to file with the Department of Revenue? What are the things that I need to do with agencies in Mississippi to make sure I keep my business going? So that's an important piece as well. SOS resources. So then we walk through with all of them. Here are the things at the Secretary of State's office that you may need to know. And here are the folks that you could talk to in our office if you need help. And again, we've taught all of our folks, hopefully people don't have to interact with government too often. But when they do, if they call our office, I want it to be a great interaction where people hang the phone up and think, oh my gosh, that was actually enjoyable in a sense. I got the answers that I needed. If they didn't have the answer, they got me to the right person that would find that answer. So I think that's a really important thing that we do, but having those contacts are important for them. We have about employment, which is the employer basics. So when they get ready to hire people, who do you need to call in the state? Department of Revenue and other entities to make sure that you're doing your hiring correctly. That's another important piece that we're doing. And then lastly is a contact list. So who at the Department of Revenue do I need to talk to? Who at MDES do I need to talk to, and to whom do I direct certain questions? So it's a contact list of people throughout state government so they know you don't have to go search for folks. Here are the people that you need to know to talk to when you have these certain questions about different entities and different issues in our state. Lastly, I'll talk about one more in depth, Y'all Business and MS Boss. Two tools on our website, and again, Y'all Business is the one I'll focus on today, but basically, when you see new businesses, many times they say, you know what, I need to go do a survey, I need to spend a lot of market research money, and I need to do this, and I need to do that. What they don't know is a lot of that stuff already exists on our website. So you can save a whole lot of time and effort just by coming to our website to get the information. For instance, and I'll walk through each of these really quickly, Mississippi Facts. So this offers an industry at-a-glance overview for anyone interested in starting a business in Mississippi. So what are the different types of entities and different types of businesses in our state? Is there a lack of cleaners? Is there a lack of car washes? Is there a lack of whatever it is? You can kind of study the across-the-board approach here in Mississippi. The second one here is an interactive map. So with that, you can explore demographic and consumer data and access up to 3,500 detailed reports. That's a lot of information. And that's what I was talking about a minute ago when people say, well, I got to spend money on a market research study, or I got to do this, got to do that. Wait a minute. First, come to our website and see what's out there that you can use and access to help grow your business. These studies already exist, and you've got free access through the Secretary of State's office because we are created and we operate to serve you. So that's good information there. List of businesses, so it gives you an option to search for existing businesses in a certain target market area. So if you see an area that you like or that you live in or that you want to move to, what's there? What are the services that may be missing that I could possibly locate a business and grow it there? So that's a really helpful piece as well. Resources for small business. Again, that's our partnership with the Mississippi Small Business Development Center to really access resources across the board that they offer. They have connections at the federal level as well as the state, so it's an important entity for new businesses to connect with and to know. And then lastly, this is one I'm really excited about. We're launching a Move to Mississippi piece of Y'all Business. We talk a lot about growing our state and growing our economy, and many times I think we miss the idea that it is a great time to be in Mississippi. So how do we better let people know what we have to offer here in our state? Some folks say, look, I don't want anybody else moving here. I like it like it is. But I want to grow our economy. I want more opportunities for our children as they grow up. For that 5-year-old that asked me the question, how do I get a job? Hey, buddy, there are so many jobs out there right now. Let me tell you about some of them. So as we move more people into Mississippi, as we grow our economy, as we grow our state, we want to play a role in that. So I was talking to some of our casino industry leaders on the coast, and I got the idea from a friend of mine who's a contractor on the coast, and he said, look, we're having a hard time finding skilled laborers and finding folks who meet certain niches and things that we need in our industry. How do we get more people here? And so we kind of started brainstorming, how do we do that? And I thought, you know what, for the folks like the casino industry, and I'm not advocating for or against the casino industry, I'm just telling you all the story here. But for the folks that they reach out to, they've already been to Mississippi. They've seen the Gulf Coast, they've seen the Vicksburg, they've seen the Delta, they've seen places in Mississippi that they say, you know what, I love this place. It isn't the perception that I hear from outside. This place is wonderful. And we've had that conversation a few times. Once you get people to Mississippi, it just completely, in my mind, it blows all the preconceived notions of, gosh, it's Mississippi. Well, we got a great state, really good people. So we are partnering with the casino industry, and they're going to start sending out our Welcome to Mississippi, our Move to Mississippi information pieces where, hey, look, if you want to come to the Gulf Coast, here are all the things that are available. If you want to come to the Delta, here are the things that are available. To try to encourage folks that they've seen Mississippi, they've knocked these preconceived notions out. Well, not just come visit us, why don't you come move here? So that's going to be a fun piece, and that's the next piece of y'all business. MS Boss is kind of designed to help you. You enter all your data, and it spits out some basically suggestions of these are the people you need to talk to. This is how you start your business. So it's another piece of building a business as well. And then lastly, those are kind of our welcome to business. How do we connect folks with resources? What do we need to do to grow business in Mississippi? The second piece that I want to talk to you about is some of the things that we've been doing that I think are making a more friendly business atmosphere in our state. One of the things that we've done is our Tackle the Tape initiative, and I'm not sure many of you have heard about that, but basically when I came into office, I came out of the state Senate, and we had just passed some legislation with the Occupational Licensing Review Commission. So for those who aren't familiar with the OLRC, it's the governor, myself, and the attorney general, and it oversees 29 boards and commissions. So basically, dentists, doctors, anything you have to have a license to practice in Mississippi. So when they do new rules or regulations, when they pass those from those boards and commissions, those new rules and regs have to come to the OLRC. So if they aren't narrowly tailored, if they're not for a public health benefit, if they're overly broad, we can strike those and say, no, this is anti-competitive. This is not good for business in Mississippi. We're going to send those back to the starting board. Why don't you start over and send them back to us? Or we can edit them. We can do a couple of different things. But an important piece to help the regulatory burden in our state, I don't know if y'all know this or not, but in the Southeast, Mississippi is one of the most regulated states there is. And that's kind of a shock to some folks to hear that about Mississippi. So we had that passed in the legislature, and I started thinking more through, well, how do we do more to cut the regulatory burden to make it easier to do business in Mississippi? So we got this idea of Tackle the Tape. And so basically, it's on our website. You can go to our website and you click on the Tackle the Tape link. Any kind of regulation, any statute, any ordinance, any law, federal issues, it can be whatever it is that impact folks who are trying to grow their business, we want to know about it. And I don't want y'all to hear I'm anti-regulation. I'm not. I'm anti-dumb regulation. If it's not a good, smart regulation, we don't need it. So we launched our Tackle the Tape initiative, and it just exploded. And I'll tell you a couple of stories. My favorite one here is one we did recently. And this is the power of having an advocate at the state level who understands the importance of the regulatory burden, either how to cut it or how to navigate it. So any Winston County folks here? Good. So Louisville, there was a grocery store owner who wanted to open his grocery store. If you've ever been to Louisville, you know there's not many grocery stores there. So that's something that's good for the community, good for the economy, good for folks to be able to go get bread and cheese and meat and whatever you need. So he called and he said, Michael, the USDA is really giving us a hard time trying to get our doors open. And I said, well, why don't you tell me a little bit about it? So he gave me a little example of what was going on. He said, look, I know that you're at the state level, but I've been reading about this Tackle the Tape, so I figured I'd just give it a shot. And I said, well, look, let me call, see what I can do here. So USDA, I'm sure they're fine people. Anybody from USDA here? Good fine Mississippians, fine Americans. So I call, and the director is out. So there is a director here over the USDA from Mississippi. This thing's live, isn't it? You recording this? Oh well. So I call, and the director's out, and I'm checking with his assistant, and I said, look, let me just email you this question from this business owner that they're trying to open their doors here. and maybe you can direct me on where to go, how to get some help for this person. So I send the email. A few minutes later, good quick response, fires back, and he sends me a telephone number. And no offense to this cat, but there is no name. There is no, this is the department you're going to be calling. Here's where they're located. Here's what they do. And it's nothing, a phone number. And so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm the Secretary of State. I'm a statewide elected official here in Mississippi, and I can't get very good help from this guy. Imagine a small business owner trying to call and deal with this, pulling their hair out. So I got a little fired up. I type an email out, I bang it out, then I erase it. I do another one, I erase it too. I think, okay, be diplomatic, be nice, be kind. That's what we do here. And so finally I send one back and I said, look, I appreciate the telephone number, but could you give me like who I'm supposed to talk to? Where are they located? Email address, so I can communicate with somebody to help this Mississippian. He sends me back another email just a few minutes later with a different telephone number, and that's it. I nearly exploded in my office. I was so frustrated. So I thought, okay, who do I know? Well, you know what? I'm going to call Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith's office. So I call her office, and I've got a contact within about 30 minutes. 2 days later, this issue's fixed. It wasn't a big issue. It was a simple issue. Point being, imagine again, if you're a small business owner, and I couldn't even get proper help to get them some help. Imagine the tasks that they would have to tackle if they were trying to do that. That's the power of having someone that understands, you know what? We either need to cut the regulatory burden or understand how to navigate that to help small businesses. That's workforce development. As you grow jobs and grow businesses, that's the more opportunities we have to get people jobs here across our state. So just a quick example of Tackle the Tape and why it's so important. So we've been doing that for about 2 years now. And after we launched that, we decided, look, under the OLRC, as I mentioned to y'all, there's 29 boards and commissions. The legislature then passed House Bill 1104 that said not only new rules and regs, but you can now go back and look at old ones too. And so we thought, okay, it's good. How do we do this? So we put a strategic plan together. It's called 29 by 29. So we're reviewing every single rule and reg under these 29 boards and commissions by the year of 2029. So we just got our first one back. We did our first 3 last year. 1,700 regulations in just 3 boards and commissions here in Mississippi. 1,700. So in that, we're taking those apart. And not only do we want to know how many regulations and what they are, but number 2, how many of those are discretionary? How many of those aren't supported by statute or by some other law, that they're just made up from these regulations in these entities? Over 400 of the 1,700 are discretionary. So when you start looking at that, when you can cut 400 regulations and make it easier to do business in Mississippi, that's winning. That's growing businesses, that's making it easier for them to grow and creating more opportunities for all of us here in Mississippi. That's the power of cutting the regulatory burden. So we're moving on to our next 3, but when we see those that are discretionary, our job is, you know what? Let's look at them. Let's talk to these boards and commissions. I don't want this to be an attack on them. I want this to be, hey, let's come together. You tell me, why are these important that you've made that are discretionary, and can we cut those? Can we make it easier on businesses? And then we'll take the list of those to the OLRC to cut them to make it easier to do business in Mississippi. So that's going to be a real successful piece for us. 2 last ones I'll mention. They're kind of tied to business, but I want y'all to know about these because they're really important to me, important to our entire state. The first one is MBAT. I'm not sure if y'all have heard about that or not, but Mississippi Businesses Against Trafficking. Human trafficking is awful. It is a scourge and something that we've got to get advanced on our fight with human trafficking here in Mississippi. Started working on that in our legislative days, passed some legislation there with Speaker Gunn, and got really active in the idea. And how it started was a couple of ladies came to talk to me. They said, look, we want to talk to you about human trafficking. And I said, well, you know, that's in LA and Vegas and New York, these bigger cities. That's not really here in Mississippi. And they said, well, that's why we want to come talk to you. I said, okay, I'll listen. And ran out a list of cases that they had found and heard about in Mississippi. And the worst one was down in Lincoln County. A grandfather was trafficking his granddaughter for drug money. And you talk about a father of 3 little girls and ripping my heart out. That's serious. That's real stuff right there. So we, in the legislature, were working on that. Well, when I came to the Secretary of State's office, I thought, you know what? what is a connection that I can maintain with this issue to help continue to fight it here in Mississippi? So we looked at some other states. Iowa had Iowa Businesses Against Trafficking, IBAT. Texas had TBAT, Texas Businesses Against Trafficking. So we decided, look, let's take the best of that, and we're going to form MBAT. So we did. We launched it last October, Liz, and have over 100 businesses now that are members. And so basically what MBAT does is it trains employees of these businesses that are members. What is human trafficking? You know, it's not just sex trafficking. It's labor trafficking. There's other forms of trafficking. So what is it? What does it look like? What are the signs that I need to see that may give me some suspicion trafficking may be going on? And then if I do see it, if I do suspect this, to whom do I report it? We can't just see it and know it without reporting it to get some criminal activity going on, to get some prosecutions. Because the more we prosecute it, the more fear is built in the criminal sector where we're attacking it. So launched in October, had 100 folks that are joined now, businesses across our state. We had our first summit a few weeks back in Hattiesburg, had 154 folks that were there, and they got training from A to Z. What does it look like? What do I need to know? And we followed up with those. It's not just a one-time deal, following up with those to continue that education. And it hit me, you know, if I'm doing this for businesses around our state, we need to know it at the Secretary of State's office too. So we're now training in our office so they all know about it. So we're doing some really cool things with our staff to be able to recognize it and to be able to report it. We've got our next summit coming up at Jackson State in a couple weeks, April 4th. So if y'all are around, would love for y'all to join us at the Jackson State Summit. But the chief of police was there, Jackson State chief of police on the campus, was at our Hattiesburg event. He came up to us afterwards and he said, how do I get this to Jackson? So the interest is growing, and we're going to continue to attack this. And this is one that I love policy, I love politics, I love digging in the weeds. You know, I love just figuring out kind of a policy wonk, as my wife would call me. This is one that's not just policy, it's not just politics, it's not just theory. This is on the ground actually saving lives. The numbers came out in 2021 from MBI, and we've gotten the 22 numbers aren't out yet, but there were 10 children that they recovered from folks who had filed reports of human trafficking. That's real life. That's saving lives. That's not just policy. It's not just politics. That's making a difference in families' lives. Those are 10 children that are now back home with their families. That's incredible. So something like MBAT, we're actually impacting lives. It's really important to us. So I definitely want to mention that. And then last one, I need your help with this one. This is our Student Ambassador Program. So we started this a year or so ago. Last year was our first foray into it. I'll tell you kind of how it launched, but I need your help finding some new students. So if you know of incoming seniors in high school next year that are leaders in their communities, leaders in their schools, we want you to get them to apply for our Student Ambassador Program. So we sat down, I guess it was 2 or so years ago. You're familiar with the Girls State and Boys State programs? So Girls State, they elect their 8 statewide elected officials. So they have a governor all the way down to insurance commissioner. And they come spend a day in Jackson. Well, for some reason, a couple years ago, I was the only statewide that was in town this day. And so I got all 8 of them in my office. About an hour and a half later, they were leaving, but had some fantastic conversations with them. And it kind of hit me in these discussions. How do I engage them, not just through a visit, but how do I stay in contact with them to get them engaged in the election process? As many of y'all know, elections are incredibly important. And so how do we get our younger generation engaged to get them to talk to their peers who respect them, to get them engaged as well? So we started with that, and they did some voter registration drives at their schools, and that kind of just grew, the idea grew into the ambassador program. So we launched that last year. We had 56 of the best and brightest high school seniors across the state. A matter of fact, last week we found out one of them broke the GPA record at Oxford High School, like in history. These are the kind of folks that are in this program. Super smart, outgoing, hardworking individuals. So we do 3 things with them. Number 1, we teach them about elections and why it's important for them to be engaged. Number 2, we teach them about state government. How does government work? If there's an issue that you want to advocate on behalf, who is it that you talk to? Do you start at the legislature? Do you start at the regulatory level? Who is it that you need to go get to know and understand the issues and the process? So really important for them to know that. Number 3, and this is one that kind of ties more in with what we're doing here, but it's a mentorship type deal. I remember when I was in, I think it was 6th grade, we had an attorney, a local attorney in Pascagoula, Jimmy Calmer, he came to our class, and it was our gifted class, so we had some folks coming in from the community, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is a real live attorney. And he has taken his time to come to my class to talk to us about being an attorney. How cool is that? I remember the impact that made, and I always thought, you know what, if I get that opportunity one day, I want to do that too. So these are 56 high school seniors. We had 2 in-person visits here in Jackson, first one in the fall, second one in the spring. But the third part about being kind of a mentor and pouring into them, we also teach them what are the opportunities in our state. You don't have to leave Mississippi to be successful. You don't have to leave Mississippi to do cool things. And talk to them about the different types of opportunities. In our spring event, Chevron was there. And Chevron hosted them for lunch and talked to them about the careers that are available and the opportunities that they could have at Chevron right here in Mississippi. So we've taught every one of them about different opportunities around the state. And each month we have a Zoom call with them, and each month we have a new speaker. We've had Senator Wicker, Senator Lott came and spoke one time. It was a lot of fun. Different speakers from around the business sector in Mississippi. And so giving them the idea and the opportunity to say, you know what, I don't have to leave Mississippi for a great opportunity. That in itself is workforce development. Making sure they understand you can come here and be successful. But I would love to have your help. So the application ends March 31st. So get your smart, best and brightest Mississippians that are coming up to be seniors next year to apply. And look forward to a big class there. But that's kind of a quick overview of what we're doing at the Secretary of State's office with workforce development, as well as some of the other programs we're offering. So I'm happy to answer any questions y'all may have, but I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to working with you moving forward. So, questions? We got some back there.
Thank you, Secretary Watson, for your overview today. We certainly appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
We have heard everything that you have a lot of information on your website, information that typically people have to pay for.
That's right.
Through the market research and all that and all the different programs. I think businesses, new businesses, growing businesses, all those opportunities that I certainly didn't know you had all that. But so thank you for sharing that with us. And we do have a few questions for
Sure.
you from our online platform.
Good.
But if anyone in the house has any, please come this way come this way.
Hotspot. There we go.
As I ask this, so you can come to the mic
Sure.
here. So a couple of questions. The first one I will ask, let's see. Is the Student Ambassador Program limited to just high school seniors, or can adult education students participate as well, like HSE and GED program participants?
Wow, fantastic question, Liz. You hear that? That's phenomenal. So we built it based on high school seniors, but that is a really cool idea. So perhaps we could expand on that. One of the things that I thought was really cool, I'm in a different program where it's a fellowship type deal, and so they do separate classes, and then the next year when they're doing the Zoom, the last class could also participate. So you grow this bigger kind of, so I've been thinking about that, but I've not thought about the idea of expanding it to that.
good
That's
idea.
a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, whoever that was.
Yeah, I know.
We'll write that one down.
Online, yes. Thank you for that question.
Well done.
Yes. Okay. So second question. How can we get the application for the ambassador program? I would love to share this with school counselors in their area.
Thank you very much for that question. It's on our website, sos.ms.gov, so please go there and click on the ambassador program. The application is there, and any help that we can give. If people have questions, we're happy to answer those as well. Our external affairs division kind of heads that up. Liz is a great contact as well, and clearly you can always ask me too. But the smart people are behind the scenes.
Thank you. We have put that in a link on
Good.
Zoom, so your contact
Fantastic.
information and your website. Another question. Are the past business webinars that you mentioned early on, are they online or?
I think they are, Liz. I'm pretty sure they are.
Okay.
I don't want to lie, but I'm almost certain they are.
Okay.
I'll go back and make sure that's the case and let one of you guys know.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. How do businesses sign up for MBAT, and what type of training is involved?
Yeah, so MBAT, again, it's on our website. You can click on the link there and register your business. Liz is the contact that you guys want to talk to about MBAT. But basically the training, there's different types of training. There's some online things that you can do, some videos, some different clearly, you can download some of the forms and different types of training information that we have on our website, but there are also the interactive pieces on the website too. And it's something that we want to grow. So if y'all know about other training resources, we're happy to include those as well. And that's been one of the cool things for me. I talked earlier about breaking down the silos. MBI has been fantastic. Department of Health. I know the AG is doing some things with human trafficking, but what we've built here with MBAT is a combination of different entities and different agencies. And when you can reach across those party lines, when you can reach across those agency lines, when you can reach across any kind of line and get people together for the same common goal to make Mississippi better, that's encouraging to me, and especially on something like this. So if there are other resources out there that we need to know about from the online community, please let us know. But you can register again online and also talk to Liz about questions they may have.
Absolutely. Thank you for that answer.
You're welcome.
And this last question from online is the welcome packet that you mentioned. Is it something you can mail out, or is it downloadable? What format is it in?
I'm assuming downloadable. Liz, you have that question or answer?
Don't, but we can absolutely, whomever it is, we can get it to them if they want to reach out.
We'll get a link for that.
So my questions were similar to those that were
Sure.
online. It was, how do you access some of the past webinars? But in addition, how would you register for the one that's coming up on March 28th? I took a quick look at your website, and I didn't see the information readily available, but if it's something that can be shared, it'd be greatly appreciated.
It should be under business services, Liz.
I looked under business
Okay.
services.
I was looking for the other LLC. What was the question?
The link for the Welcome to Business webinar.
It is under business services, yes.
Okay.
ma'am. I can text it straight to you if you'd like me.
All right, that'll be great.
Yeah. And
And
to
then-
that question real quickly, more importantly, the links that are there, sometimes they are a little bit hard to find, but I would just encourage you or anybody else, our email address is online too.
Just
If
email
you've got
to-
questions, please
Okay.
ask.
All right.
I
And
work for you. And
The
that's,
last one was the LLC welcome packet. Often people who are interested in starting their own business are looking to kind of send feelers out. They want to see the information before they actually do anything. Do you have to go through the process of setting up a business, or is that something that's readily available?
I think we can, if it's not really available, it's going to be, because that's a
Okay.
great idea as
Okay.
well.
And then lastly, I wanted to make you aware of a program called Pathways to Possibilities.
Yes, P2P.
Are you familiar with it? Yes,
Pascagoula.
P2P. It's great.
Ah.
And along with workforce development, they introduce students to career opportunities, and just wanted to see if that's something that you're working with in terms of workforce development for the state. Because I became aware of it last year,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing. It travels across the state. Thousands of kids have gone through the program. It's been going on for forever. And it's just a positive, I think, for Mississippi in terms of workforce development.
So I'm from Pascagoula, so watching Ingalls and Chevron have really got engaged with P2P as well as you said it earlier. I just noticed P2P.
Yeah,
But they've done a really good job, but our chamber there has gotten really engaged in growing the program. So a fantastic one, and I know decent bit about it, but we've not really engaged as far as how can we help. So that's a good idea as well.
Yeah, on the Gulf Coast, which is where it started, it's huge. That was my first time attending last
Yeah.
year. It occurs in November.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to walk into a venue and see thousands, well, not thousands, but hundreds of businesses.
There's a bunch of 'em.
thousands of students
That's right.
who are talking about career opportunities. So great. Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
What else? Anybody? Liz, do you have a question? Yes, sir.
Talk a little bit about how your office is more than just elections, but how do you work with the local chambers and try to bring in new business?
Yeah, it's a great question. And just really quickly, and one that I should have probably started with, a lot of folks just picture us as, well, they do elections, and that's what they do. Elections is probably one of the smallest things that we do. And for those who aren't aware of Mississippi elections, the process itself, basically we're a bottom-up state. So that means the really hard work happens at the local level with your circuit clerks and your elections commissioners. We house the statewide election management system, so all your voting data is there. We train our clerks and commissioners. So we do a lot with elections, but the heavy load is handled at the local level. The second piece, business services, and that's where really the breadth of the work that we do day in and day out happens. So LLCs, corporations, nonprofits, scrap metal dealers, you talk about securities, charities. I could keep going on. There's a perpetual care cemeteries. That's one of my favorite ones to talk about. But we do a lot of things in the business sector and the business community. When I was campaigning in 19, I was down in Southwest Mississippi, and one of the, I think it was a chamber event maybe that I was at, and one of the city council members were there, and he said, look, we have a really hard time of getting anybody to pay attention to us. And I said, well, tell me a little more about that. He said, for instance, and again, no slight to MDA. I know they're busy. They're doing some stuff, whatever they're doing. But sometimes you have these smaller businesses that just can't get their attention. And so I told him, I said, listen to me, if you've got somebody that's looking at your community and you want somebody there, call us. I'll show up. So having the understanding of sometimes that personal touch, letting people know that you care, may be the last little thing that gets somebody to locate in Mississippi. I'll tell you a great example. We had one a few months ago. They're actually located in DeSoto County now. I hate to ruin the surprise. But a guy calls and he says, hey, look, I got this business, and it's basically Amazon Light. So it's a regional competitor to Amazon. And the guy came from Amazon, and we were at the dinner, and he was talking about Jeff and whatever Bezos' wife's name is. He was saying their names. And it hit me. I thought, Jeff who? And the guy said, well, Bezos. I was like, this guy's legit. He really knows him. So we had a long conversation. Long story short, they were looking at Nashville in North Mississippi. And I thought, that's going to be hard to beat Nashville out, but I'm going to give it my best shot. So we sat down for a couple of hours talking through what's happening in Mississippi, what are the bright spots that you need to know about DeSoto County where you're looking. Talked to Jim Flanagan there, their EDF guy, got them some tours set up of buildings. Long story short, they ran into some issues with a couple of different entities, but we were able to shortcut those because he knew, well, man, the Secretary of State's engaged himself trying to help me get through these hurdles. And they located in Mississippi. We beat Nashville for that. So that came down to, let me build this relationship, and let me show them it's not just about talk, it's about action as well. How do I help? How do I get engaged to help this guy come to Mississippi and build his business? So I think just like that, in the local communities, if there's a business coming and you need somebody to show up, I'm going to show up. I'm busy, I get it, but there are some things that are priorities that I need to make sure that happen. So any local chamber of commerce or community, you need somebody to come show up, doggone, we'll show up. What else?
I have one last question for you. I know we've been given the order that you have to go soon. We really appreciate this, but I think this is a good question to end on. Can someone in your office speak to high school counselors, CTE counselors, and WBL instructors in the state on these various resources and career opportunities for students?
We can, and I'm glad you mentioned that. We actually are launching a new outreach initiative where we're going to be doing some CEUs with our teaching community, teaching them about entrepreneurship and how they can use the resources that we have at the Secretary of State's office in their classrooms to teach about, hey, look, how do we grow businesses in Mississippi? Right. How do we continue to develop the workforce, letting them know what's out there? What are the things that we can do in Mississippi? Again, you don't have to leave. You can be successful right here. But yeah, we can certainly hook them up with whomever they want us to come visit with. We're a traveling roadshow. We'll go wherever.
Is there a form on your website for that? Can you make that?
If they would reach out
request?
to External Affairs,
It's
under the website. They could shoot an email. Wade Hinton, Wade's a former educator.
Yes.
Was also in administration in schools, so Wade gets it. Matter of fact, we were interviewing another, hopefully former teacher today, bringing her on because I think that's an important piece. Again, the idea that workforce development starts at an early age.
Absolutely.
How do we help our education community know what resources are there?
Right.
That we can help you in your classrooms. So excited about that, but please get them to reach out.
I will.
We want to be helpful wherever
Thank
we
you.
can. You're very welcome.
Let's give them another hand. Thank you,
Thank
Secretary
y'all very much.
Watson. Thank you very much. Now I think we have some prizes to give away. Jasmine? Oh, there you go.
He's very taller than me. All right, so we're going to get ready to do some door prizes, but before that, I do want to go ahead and make some announcements as it pertains to our networking lunches we're going to break into. Each of you received a little slip on the side, so as we prepare for lunch, if you could, on the slipper you have a choice of which option that you want. If you could put the one that you want, tear it off to the side, and we're going to have our lunch host come around and grab those so we can get the food ready into you, okay? So let's get ready to do some door prizes. Did everyone receive a ticket? Everyone got a ticket? You didn't? Not you, Renata. Anyone else didn't receive a ticket? I call you by name. Okay, so Our first prize goes to ticket number 77-10314. Yay! Congratulations! All right, we're gonna do one more. Ticket number 77-10310. Yay, congratulations. And then, of course, we can't forget about our virtual audience. We're going to pull one name from there, and our virtual audience winner will be Chris C. Chris C., if you is joining with us, you are our door prize winner. We thank you for joining us on live stream or on Zoom. You are our winner. If you could send me your information, and we'll be sure to get that door prize to you. All right, so before we break off into our networking lunch, we do have a few announcements. Of course, our next upcoming Workforce Wednesday is going to be on April 19th, 2023. Each of you should have received the little flyer on your table which tells you about the next Workforce Wednesday. You don't want to miss it, and I'm sure once you see it, you're going to recognize who Jeff Good is and all the restaurants, wonderful restaurants, may I add, that he owns that we may have all eaten at. And so he's going to give a fun presentation about business and leadership. As well as, I want to open up the floor. I know we have different businesses, workforce development businesses and entities in the room, and so I like to always give a time for any of our guests. If there's any announcements you want to make, any events that your business may have going on, or if any new programs pertaining to workforce or anything that you do, I want to give time now for anyone that wants to share with the group any programs that you have.